instruments should be played at high volume, preferably in a residential area.
To boldly go where no one has gone before.
Boom to the hey, all you sports fans out there. Welcome to OMSR with your brief but always concise host, Will the Alternative ESPN Sports Thrill, and 2AA from 64 Samoa. Now, yesterday when I was talking to Paul about this at the tail end of that particular phone call, I think maybe he thought the Yiddish had gone to my head. As a goyim, I'm not a licensed or authorized dealer / speaker. Roll it.
We're overdoing the Yiddish. Instead of Mazel Tov, it's Mazel Tua.
Yeah,
So yeah,
when the woman tells you
getting a
this,
kick out of that.
Yiddish, tells you it's a dying language, you know, her father's life, you know.
Apostrophe A. Now, last time I profiled, used 2A here, spirit guardian of the house. As I have been told, the man who acquired him died when I was 5, but my dad was thought of so highly through his missionary work there in Samoa that he was thought of as like an honorary tribal elder. Nice little gift, eh? So this was made decades before he arrived here, obviously. This is not your everyday, you know, I'm gonna get carved in a week. No way, Jose. And local shells there from that part of the Pacific. So anywho, yes, Paul, 2A is real. And now, we have a quarterback named Tua, who was sort of like a spirit guardian, rescuing national championships from very poor offensive performances. Alright, you see the slideshow montage and the video highlights coming up. This intro is for both parts 1 and 2. Part 1 got some nice banter going on with Stephen A. Proliferation of the alliteration, Smith, and Tebow. Part 2, great analysis with Paul Feinbaum. And what's next for Nick Saban? NFL talk, it always seems to come up. Challenges, needing challenges, men need challenges. You know, done everything that can be done in a certain medium, take it up a level. What's wrong with just staying put and being content? Would be my question. Alright, thanks for watching those silly DUIs while you're out there. Roll clips.
Mercedes-Benz Stadium here in Atlanta for the national championship, Georgia and Alabama. We're going to go out there and play with passion and energy. Bunker down one more time, dogs. That's what we want them to do. About to get real loud, folks. Buckle up. Here comes pressure from the backside. Bellamy going to sack Jalen Hurts. Snap it to Nicole Hardman. He play fakes. He runs for the left corner. Touchdown. Hardman for the Wild Dog. 13-0. Georgia leading Alabama. Remarkable move by head coach Tagovailoa. A true freshman from Hawaii gets the second half start. Gets the snap. He'll throw it in the back of the end zone. Touchdown. Alabama in business. 4th down and 4. Here's Tua. Everybody's covered. He'll throw to the left side. Caught. Touchdown. Alabama. We're tied with 3:49 to go in regulation. Here's Tua stepping back. Loads up. Looks long. Throws end zone. Touchdown. Alabama. Devontae Smith. Alabama is back as the champion of college football.
What a game! It was a classic. Hello and welcome to the First Take. Thank you so much for hanging with us. Molly Kara, Max Kellerman, and Stephen A. Smith here with you. And joining us to break down last night's title game is none other than Tim Tebow. Gentlemen, good morning.
Whoa.
What's up?
What's
going
How are you
on?
doing? I know everyone's a little crazy.
I want to let Tim Tebow know I'm here for you. I'm here for you. I mean, you didn't get any sleep. We were hanging together. You understand? But I understand it's usually difficult for you to make that transition from the night to the morning. I'm usually the one that has to get up in the morning. So I'm here for you, bro. I'm here for you.
Thank you so much. It's just so kind of you.
Everybody fired up and ready to go. Let's get into it, you guys. The theme of the night, resiliency, and the Tide rolled their 5th national title in 9 seasons, the shortest span to win 5 titles in the poll era. Stephen A., I'll start with you. An incredible game. You were there. What was your takeaway?
It was phenomenal. It was phenomenal. My takeaway, this freshman, you know, what is it? Tagovailoa?
Tagovailoa.
Tagovailoa.
No, Tagovailoa. Just call him Tua.
Hit the low.
The kid is special. The kid, hey, Max, we didn't ask you. You'll get your chance.
You wanted how to pronounce it.
But I got to tell you something right now. If it wasn't for Tim Tebow, I just don't know what I would have done. I came in there looking like a depressed puppy because I could not believe how awful Alabama's offense looked in the first half. I went from picking them to win the game to wondering whether or not they were going to score a point. They were getting beat up. They were getting out-muscled, out-hustled in every way, and Nick Saban and them seemed devoid of answers. And then Nick Saban showed why he's so great, because he had the courage to make the call that he made to a backup that only saw garbage time during a few games in the regular season. But ultimately, he was able to give them a spark. The defense responded. I don't understand for the life of me why Kirby Smart didn't give the ball to Sony Michel more, who averaged 7 yards a carry. I thought he should have had more than 14 carries. But in the end, what it came down to is that Alabama found a way because of a true freshman that was inserted into the lineup with a 13-point deficit in a national championship game and took the moment and just ran with it. It was something special to behold, and I also got to watch it with my boy Tim Tebow. What can I say?
I got a lot to say about Saban today. So we're going to talk more about him in a minute, but I want to start with Nick Saban because, Stephen A., you touched on something that a lot of people were talking about and tweeting about, and a lot of my friends were calling, and everyone was talking about the guts that Nick Saban showed to make that switch. You go to a true freshman quarterback, a kid that only lost 2 college football games as a starting quarterback in his college career. You sit him down for a true freshman. But I don't think it's exactly guts. I think guts is not the right way to say it. It is true that Saban prepared a move and then made it. And a lot of times you see people prepare to do something and then they don't really do have the guts to pull the trigger. But I don't think that's what was really shown there. What I think was shown with that move is Nick Saban's recruiting once again. He had the #1 run-pass option quarterback out of high school in the nation. The #1 guy sitting on his bench. Nick Saban's recruiting.
Listen, guys, I agree with all three of you. Molly, resilience, that's a great word. Stephen A., guts, that's another great word. Max, recruiting, that's another great word. But I think above all three of those words, I think last night was about hope. You go through the first half, and it's the first time that I can remember that Alabama has been out-Alabama'd by another team. See, a lot of times when they lose, or when they're losing, it's because another team has huge offensive plays. Ole Miss has a quarterback on fire, or a quarterback's just tearing it up, or Alabama has turnovers. That wasn't the case. Georgia was consistently beating them at the line of scrimmage and on third down, and therefore they're losing 13-0 going into halftime. And to me, it looked like they were void of hope, because the offense was stagnant. There was nothing they could do. It wasn't like there was open plays, but they were missing them. No, they were getting shut down at the line of scrimmage with their QB running game and their zone read, and also they had no passing game. So what did Nick Saban do at halftime? He gave the team hope by putting in Tua, giving them a chance. And I think when Tua came into the game, because of his left arm, he gave that team hope. So especially after the 3rd and 7, he scrambled, he got a first down. Then he was able to drive him down the field, hit a dig route back in the end zone, touchdown. He gave the offense hope, the special teams hope, and probably biggest of all, the defense hope to continue fighting because the offense could come through at the end. And then the game continues back and forth, back and forth. But in overtime, 2nd and 26, they had hope because of his left arm, and I think hope got it done for Alabama in the end of the game.
The reason, I mean, you know what? Go ahead. No, I'm just thinking about, think about this from this perspective. You've got your field goal kicker wide left. I mean, it was a choke job. You don't want to say that, but my Lord, it was just that bad. He had been hooking it considerably, he said, for a few weeks now. It was just a bad situation. He had an opportunity to win it in regulation. But when you look at it, you've got Najee Harris. He's a freshman. You got him in the running back spot because Scarborough and Damian Harris weren't necessarily getting it done. You got a quarterback who's a freshman. So you got a freshman running back. You got a freshman quarterback. You got a freshman tackle. These are all the maneuvers that Nick Saban made, and he deserves a lot of credit for that because when you've got the word courage comes to my mind. Courage, guts, it's all the same. You know, you just got to give credit where credit is due. But I also say that Georgia somewhat helped the deal because Kirby Smart, for some reason, I do not understand why Sonny Michel did not see the ball more, Tim Tebow. I don't get that part.
Well, also... Go ahead, Steve. Go ahead, Tim.
I completely agree with you. I think Sonny Michel was one of the most dynamic players on the field. He showed it again last night. And it's not like Georgia was creating a lot of holes offensively. He was putting his foot in the ground, making someone miss, and being able to knife it for 6-7 yards every time. And I agree. I think they should have got the ball to Sonny Michel more.
Look, in the second half especially, you have Deron Payne in the middle for Alabama. You have these, everywhere you look, you have a stud who's like, oh my God, that guy's going to the NFL, and he's going to be really good. I would say, like, the metaphor is for Nick Saban, and the reason I talk about recruiting, it's the depth. I know what you mean, Stephen A., and a lot of people are on that, like the courage, the guts, whatever, to put in freshmen, especially at the quarterback position, that movie made. And I get that, but I would call that follow-through. If it's courage, it's the courage of your convictions. In other words, these guys are on the roster. I have them. I'm going to use all the pieces. But it's almost like a drummer with a 35-piece drum kit. You know, if it's a 5-piece drum kit, that's one thing. But if you got 35 pieces, you just kind of throw the sticks out there, it's going to hit something. And especially when all pieces are all American, you know? So Nick Saban can kind of throw those sticks out there. It's going to hit something. It's going to sound like music. Especially, now, it's not to take anything away from not only Nick Saban's follow-through, but this kid Tagovailoa's left arm, you said, Tim Tebow, the fact that he took that sack, and it was a real true freshman kind of sack to take.
Yeah.
You know, Nick Saban had to be having a conniption on the sideline. He takes that sack, the game's over at that point. So many times the game's over. The field goal kicker, Stephen A., you brought up Shanks, the field goal. You take that freshman sack, basically, and then you come through with that throw under those circumstances. But then again, that's why he was the #1 recruit among run-pass quarterback options, right? Like, that is why, and again, he chose to go to Alabama because Nick Saban can walk into some kid's living room and say, since the year 2000, since LSU, anyone who has stayed with me for 3 years at least has won a national title. Who else in the history of college football can ever tell that to a kid?
Bring into account the fact that his recruiting is so exceptional that ultimately cannot be denied. The recruiter,
but how can you separate that out, Stephen A.? Like college football, that's part of it. Recruiting is part of it. Like, think about the logic. Well, if they had Nick Saban's players, well, who's stopping you? Go get Nick Saban's players. You're both competing for the same players. He gets them. He identifies them. He makes sure they're on his team, and then he schemes them up and coaches them up and figures out how to win. I don't know why anyone could point to a contemporary of his and said, well, if they had his team, go get his team. Go get it.
And let me also tell you this. For the last 9 years, LSU has competed athlete for athlete with Alabama. For the last few years, Georgia has competed. Ohio State has competed. But where they have fallen short is in scheme, is in not being able to match up with the Nick Saban coach defense. He has literally made coaches pull out their hair because they cannot figure out a way to move the ball.
How? You said that he changed defense, like his defensive schemes have changed college football. How?
Well, first of all, you take a look at what they did in 2008, 9, 10, when they had a 3-4, 250-pound middle linebackers that would stop the run, and defense line would stop the run. His combination coverage would take away any of the air from receivers, and he would make it so stressful to be able to have a passing game. So there was only two things you could really do to have success. It was throw the deep ball, and it was to have a quarterback that would drop back in a pass and run. So for years, the only way to beat Alabama was to have a quarterback play out of his mind and also be super athletic. That was the way to beat Alabama. That's when we talk about out-Alabamaing Alabama. That was the first time I saw it, was the first half last night, because no one can do it. Because they win at the line of scrimmage, they're able to two-gap, stop the run, and then they're able to take away any of the room from getting an easy rhythm passing game going. So you have to take shots like South Carolina did when they had Alshon Jeffrey, and they just threw it up to him 10 times, and they won the game. Or Ole Miss when they took shot after shot, and they were able to hit 4 or 5 of them and have 35 points. or we did when we were at Florida to have, quarterback run, balance, and then take shots as well. So that was the way to beat Alabama.
Great quarterback played for you guys back then. I remember him.
Average. We were working on it. But that was the way to beat them. There was no other way to beat them. And so that's what Georgia, what they did was so impressive. That's how he changed college football. Flat out.